Hi everyone, it's James here from Pro Tools Expert, and you join me out of the studio and out in the real world. Today we are at the Smokehouse Studios in Wapping in East London. Quick shout out to Jono and his team here at the Smokehouse. Massive thank you for letting us use the place. They're in the middle of some fairly hefty renovations at the moment, so we've kind of snuck in some downtime, which is fantastic. So why are we here? Well, we're currently in the middle of the setup and kind of testing process for a recording session that's happening tomorrow with a band called Voltaire. They're joining us here to basically, we're taking the Universal Audio test up a notch. Can you record an entire band using nothing but Apollo goodness? That includes guitar amps, bass amps, all the normal mic pre goodies, all that sort of stuff. Can we do everything in a rack unit? And so far, testing is going very, very well. So what I thought I'd do early doors is take you through the session, take you through how we've set things up, show you around the Apollo console and the gear we're using, and explain a little bit about why we're using some of it. So time to look over here at the laptop and at the Apollos and all the other goodness we've got down here in the racks. So let me just start by talking you through the rig and exactly what we've got and how it's connected. We have three Universal Audio Apollo units. We've got an Apollo Twin up here. We have an 8P and an 8. Apollo 8P, 8 mic pre's. Apollo 8, 4 mic pre's. Apollo Twin, 2 mic pre's. So in the world of me, that makes 14 mic pre's. Now, normally, I could use that many on drums and room alone. So we've kind of slimmed down the kit a little bit. It's not my full kit and caboodle, it's actually the studio's kit. And we've gone 3 toms, two snares, or snare top and bottom, kick in and out, a pair of overheads and a hat mic. That slimmed things down a little bit. We're then using the mic pre's on the Apollo Twin for our 2 lead vocalists, or our lead and backing vocal. We're using the 4 mic pre's on the Apollo 8. First 2 for our kick in and kick out. Second 2 for our snare top and snare bottom. We're then getting creative with the line inputs. We're going to use the room mics. We're going to use this amazing Vanguard Audio V44S stereo microphone as our room mics. And we're running that through the Technosign Gain mic pre, which we're going to run into the line inputs, the first 2 line inputs on the Apollo 8. Hopefully that's all making sense so far. The reason I'm using the Technosign Gain is because it's a digitally controlled analog preamp, meaning I'm tweaking the gain and attenuation of both preamp channels simultaneously. Very handy for stereo mic pre's. On to the Apollo 8P this time, and we've got 8 analog input channels which we're using. First 2 channels are guitar and bass, and we're using the Unison guitar amp simulations for both the guitar and for the bass. So for the guitar, we're using the Engel Savage 120. To be honest, so far, I've done a couple of tests and it sounds pretty amazing just on the default setting. I think Paul from the band might want to tweak things a little bit, but it sounds pretty damn fine right now. And then the second input is our bass input, and we're using the Eden WT800. Again, pretty much out of the box, it sounds amazing. So why tweak too much? Our next 6 mic pre's are our hi-hat, 3 toms and our overheads. And I've labelled them up down here. We're using API Vision channel strips, not using any of the EQ stuff, everything's levelled off. I'm just using them to get that kind of API sound. I'm printing all my effects to tape because, hey, that's the way I want to do it. What I could do is use the effects on the monitor path only, which will give me all the sound of the UA plugins, but not print it to tape. It will give me basically DI guitar parts and DI bass parts. I don't want that for this time. I want to print it all to tape. Now, usually the most complicated bit in any session is not the mic pre's, is not setting things up. It's getting people comfortable with their headphone mixes. Now, we've got 4 guys in the band, and I can set up 4 different cue sends. We have to tell the Apollo console to do that, which I already have here. And I've got my cue bus count set to 4. Now I've got a headphone amp on the Apollo Twin, I've got a pair on the 8P and a pair on the 8. Now I can configure these all differently if I want to, using the cue send on the console, which is very, very cool. Now at the moment, Q1 is feeding the headphone send on the Apollo Twin, which is very cool. Q3 is feeding the headphones on the 8P, and Q4 is feeding the headphones on the 8. Q2, we're using the line outputs, the extra set of line outputs on the Apollo Twin to give us an extra stereo pair, and we're feeding that down into a headphone amp on the floor. Stereo out into the headphone amp, and that's going to the keyboards because I wanted to get that fourth mix. I wanted to give everyone their own mix, and it just seems to be working really, really well. Certainly they're loud enough, which is a good thing. Even with drums going on, we're not getting too much click bleed as far as we can tell. So we're in a really good place. Last thing I want to show you is the effects we've set up to give the guys some sense of reverb and ambience. We're using Pure Plate, which will probably end up as a kind of vocal reverb to give us some space. And I'm using the Ocean Way set on the drums setting to give the drums some space. We've got a room mic up, but obviously I don't want to start feeding that back into the headphones because the guys are going to have so much drums in here anyway. Live drum kit, we'll probably end up using a couple of baffles and things to separate people off, but that's pretty much the rig. Otherwise, preamp wise, we've got APIs on most of the drums. I think I'm using Neve 1073s on the kick in and out and the snare top and bottom. But other than that, that's the rig. So we're going to jump in and get some bass sound now. Are we going to go for this Eden Beast?
Yeah, try the Eden.
So we can run through some presets, or we can just dive in and do what you would normally do on a bass sound. To be honest, the presets are pretty damn good. What we got? I think I probably went modern fingers, something like that.
Nice.
If you're happy with that, I would be
Sounds great.
totally happy to go with
cool.
that.
Yeah.
It's a nice finger tone to it. The bass is sounding great anyway, so
yeah, it's lovely.
put a bit more bottom end in with.
Yeah.
Give it some stick just to make sure we're not going to pop anything. The nice thing with this stuff is because it's modelled, the harder you dig in, you do get a little bit of that grit and breakup.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really good. So is this, you've got 1x15 and 4x10, you can mix between the two, can you?
And
nice.
You've got a DI as well, so you can actually,
Awesome.
3 different blends. And of course, then you've got different microphones as well. So at the moment, we're on the 1x15, we've got U47, but if I change it to the kick drum mic, you get...
Oh yeah.
I quite like the...
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it?
The D112, yeah. And then... No, U47 definitely, I think.
Yeah.
And if we want a bit more...
It's awesome. Yeah, I like it.
Cool. It just sounds like a bass amp and cab.
Brilliant, it's awesome. I'm very happy with that. Nice.
Cool, let's go with that then, fine. We've got, this is one of the new ones. This is the Engel Savage 120, which I think this is pretty much the default, or the preset default thing. So,
Nice.
do you want to run through some presets, or do you just want to get filthy? Because I mean, it sounds pretty awesome as it is. The nice thing about the guitar stuff is you've also got an effects rack, so you can have different cabinets, different microphones, a bit of delay if you want it. But to be honest, what you were playing earlier, I would say let's keep it simple.
I was really enjoying the tone. It's got a nice bite to it for the type of music we're doing. Nice and chunky sounding.
I think we're on. Are we on full on filth mode?
It's pretty filthy.
Keep going. Oh, here it is. Right.
Okay,
there's your high-end gain.
Wow, I didn't expect that to have so much actually. So I've been on about half all this time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's halfway to filthiness.
Excellent.
A bit more. I don't know. I mean, the noise gate's doing what it should be doing.
I'd be interested in tweaking the bass a little bit up, maybe.
I bet, yeah.
Just having a listen. See how that, yeah. Nice.
And then you've got even more gain if you want it.
Oh, okay, right.
Console the mids.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite like that. Now, the thing I find makes the biggest difference is the cabinet, of which there are several.
There's,
so,
yeah, good selection there.
So let me know when you find a cabinet you like.
Okay. Yeah. At the moment, I've been used to using just a 1x12.
Yeah.
But. Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
It's a bit thinner sounding.
Yeah, a bit thinner. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, good old 4x12.
Yeah. The scary thing is those have all been 4x12 models.
Oh, okay, right,
but just different versions.
Different versions, right.
Of which there are several.
Yeah. That's plenty of options
English
there.
is going to be the Marshall one, I'm guessing. That's a more orangey sound.
2x12, excellent.
But I think that American the standard.
Yeah, it's working well. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
In that case, I'm prepared to say let's go with that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so we're all set up. We've got the bass sound locked in. We've got a great guitar sound. Everything else is plumbed through, all the UA Apollos and stuff. Here we go.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, really. I mean, to be able to zone in on a bass sound like that, it usually takes you ages. You got, countless amps. I mean, I've probably owned all the big makes and been through them all, and to just go, I mean, it took us 10 minutes to get the sound we wanted. It's brilliant, exactly what you need in the sound, and yeah, very dynamic, plays how you want it to. To be honest, you might as well be going through an amp, especially if you've got your headphones on. It's bang on, really, so perfect. I like it.
I found it to be the whole process to be very fast, which that was surprising me. It was very easy to get a very good sound quickly, and it seemed very, very simple, very fast, and the sound we used today, it really suited the style of music we did. It was a good chunky rock rhythm sound, very enjoyable to play with, very responsive. And quick to achieve.
I mean, it was great. I mean, I can obviously hearing the guitar and the bass through my headphones, sounding great like they do, obviously helps. But really, it's just a case of getting all the levels exactly right so that when you play, you're not underplaying, you're not overplaying, you can just play. And that was what we had today. And we set aside half a day to get set up, and actually we were ready to go, weren't we? And that was great, so we could just get on with the music.
Just to be seen or heard, it's all we ask to earn. But losing nights and years, the statement disappears, and it's forgotten.
I mean, usually I've done a few studio recording sessions in the past, and it's tended to take twice as long just to get the right sounds. And I mean, today we were sort of 5–10 minutes just going around the kit, and it was really nice. I mean, the overall mix in the earphones coming through as well was really good, so I was really happy with what I got to play along with. Almost as if I wasn't wearing any earphones, which is what I want to hear really. It just sounded like a natural kit.